Owner of Talon Talents here, and I just want to say that we are ecstatic to be a major sponsor of HomeFront Sitrep, a community that is ran by veterans and made for veterans. So thank you for tuning in. Talon Talents was formed in order to create a music scene that was together in the form of a collective, so that no one has to do everything on their own. And guess what? We've been doing this for free for over a year. So please go and check out Talon Talents through Facebook or through our official website at www.talontalents.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you again for tuning in to HomeFront Sitrep, a veteran-owned and operated podcast just for you.
My name's Rick Ames. I own Louisville Local Entertainment, a company for music shows, promotions, and bookings in the Louisville music scene. As a veteran, it's my honor to support and sponsor local veteran-owned businesses such as HomeFront Sitrep, made by veterans for veterans. So if you're in the music business and need some help booking or promoting a show for free, look me up, Louisville Local Entertainment. And thanks for tuning in to HomeFront Sitrep.
Gear up in style wearing Got Your Six apparel. Every purchase makes a difference. It's more than just clothing, it's a statement of gratitude. Upgrade without breaking the bank. Discover cost-effective, high-quality clothing made in the USA. Each shirt is handcrafted by our team in the great state of Texas and shipped for free to your front door. Got Your Six is where quality meets purpose. We're a small veteran-owned business that takes pride in the mission and the value of our products. Join us in growing a community, supporting our heroes, veterans, and first responders by wearing a custom design.
I thought you'd never ask.
Visit sameflagsameoath.com and use the code TRIPLETHREAT for 10% off. Follow us on all social media platforms for any upcoming releases or events, and you can reach out to us with questions anytime. We are here to support our brothers and sisters.
Hey guys, Mac Verdi here with Veteran Mortgage Solutions. As rates are dropping, home values are going to start to go up. It's time to start looking if you're looking to purchase a home. That being said, we are an all-military veteran loan officer team. We know the ins and outs of the VA home loan. We are considered the experts in this field. Give us a call today. Go to our website, veteranmortgagesolutions.com. Fill out my quick form. I'll give you $500 off for its closing costs. Have a great day.
Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today, because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting. Welcome everybody to a Sunday edition of HomeFront Sitrep. Hope everybody's doing well. Miss Candace, how are you, dear?
Oh, it seems to be the theme of the day, right?
Oh man, I tell you what, today has just been pretty weird, man.
It is really weird.
I just don't know what the heck has been going on, and maybe it's the eclipse that's coming up
Maybe.
Tomorrow.
Maybe we're within 24 hours, so it's messing with everybody probably.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. I'm sorry, I'm sending the email link out. He wanted it sent to this other email.
Yeah, because I've had zero motivation today. Like I told you, like I sat outside for 4 hours today, but it was beautiful. It was worth it. Like,
yeah, I mean,
refresh.
Today, it was kind of lazy for us around here, around the house as well. Like we got up. I mean, I got up pretty early. The kids and wife got up a little later than I did. I mean, I got up, I guess, around 7:30, 8 o'clock. I got up, sit in the living room for a little while, and then finally they never leaving the house again. Then they finally woke up and started stirring about, and then they went to church today at 4. Today was my off day from going to church, so I cleaned swept and mopped and cooked dinner and did all the things a great dad's supposed to do.
Well, at least you got some check marks done.
I did. I cooked some barbecue baked chicken, green beans and carrots, mac and cheese, and stuffing. So some chicken stuffing, and of course that's what the wife wanted, was the chicken stuffing. And then I got my oldest daughter. She's going out with her boyfriend. It's their 1 month anniversary. So he's taking her out to Milano's, which is an Italian restaurant here in town, and she's super excited about that.
She looks so cute.
Yeah, she's smitten. She said that she's going to wind up keeping him for a little while.
And we thought this would never happen. Like, she doesn't like people enough to even have them.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
1 month is an accomplishment.
It is, and so this week has been really weird. Last week,
I was yelling at my mom earlier, like where she's saying she's staying in and never leaving the house again. So, like,
why are you yelling at your mom, bro?
Because the woman is working from home. She hasn't left her house.
Yeah.
My daughter has been trying to get her out and even trying to take her to the park today. And like, we're on the phone together, and I was like, Mom, go get ready. Go get a shower. Like, go get out of the house. Because she's going crazy. Like, every day I'm talking to her 7-8 times a day, and she's telling me everything that's going on. And I'm like, Mom, you got to get out.
Yeah, Miss Denise, you do have to get out.
And she refused.
I hate to say it, but if you stay cooped up in your house, it drives you crazy. And
it's getting there. It's getting there.
I have to get out. I can't just stay in and hang out at the house. I just can't do it. That's just not me. I got to be outside. No. But I had a colonoscopy on Friday. Yay me. They did find a couple polyps that they're going to run some tests on. I don't remember much from it. Literally, they're like, we're going to give you this medication that's going to put you in la la land, but you'll be in and out.
Then we're going to give you extra.
And I literally, I remember seeing her screw the syringe into the IV, but that's it until I woke up in the recovery room. So yeah, it was definitely crazy. I'm 46, getting ready to be 46 in July, and
oh man,
it was one of those things that had to get done. So,
but you know what? Your butthole's okay, and there's only one really good story that came out of it.
What's that?
But the greatest part is it was before your drugs and after your drugs. You were like, I'm naked under here.
Yeah, when I was teasing the wife, yeah, that was pretty funny. And
then you came home and passed out.
Your mom's a TMI.
It's what we do.
But no, you're in for a great show today. We've had Mathius on before. We were doing audio only. We weren't doing video at the time, and a lot of time has passed. Matter of fact, let me grab his book. So Mathius is the writer of Instead of Sheep. I'm trying to make it straight here. A Soldier's Way of Explaining PTSD to His Son. Mathius is the writer and Nick is the illustrator. But Mathius is an Army veteran He's also the program or outreach coordinator for the Road Home program at Rush, and super cool guy, really, down to earth. And I know with his book, he's writing other books to go along with this.
Yeah, but this one's even in libraries and stuff now, isn't it? I mean, like,
I believe
it's spreading.
so. We're going to find out.
I know. I'm excited about it because it's really, if you haven't, like, the fact that you've had him on here before, and if you guys out there listening have not ordered or read this book, like, you need to, because it's an amazing way to get that information out to kids.
You can get it on Amazon, and there's other places you can get it as well.
Just get it.
Definitely, if you go find the book, it's called Instead of Sheep. But anyway, since Mathius is here, let's bring him up to the stage. Welcome to the stage, my brother. Can't hear you. You're muted.
Yep. We did the same thing when we started. It's okay.
Nope. Hold on. Let me see if I
can you hear me now?
Yep,
yes.
We can hear you now.
All right.
How are you, sir?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Don't worry. We started the show off the same way after we got done playing the videos, and I started talking when I came on the screen, and I looked up and I was like, "Shit, I'm muted." So hey,
it's a day.
It's the eclipse that's coming, bro.
Yeah, I was telling my wife, I was like, "Yeah, my friend posted that he was interviewing me today," and I said that earlier today, and then I still forgot that we had. So.
Yeah,
traumatic brain injury. I blame everything on that.
Well, you even liked it too, and I was like, all right, cool. He knows we're on. We're good to go. And then I texted you, and you're like, we're doing.
Glad you got my number.
It's okay. You know what? We can use that excuse for a whole another week or so afterwards. I think it's like
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, nice to meet you, Candace. I had the pleasure. So very nice to meet you.
So that is right. So the last time he was on, he was engaged. He wasn't married yet. And now he's married. How's married life been treating you since the last time we spoke?
I mean, it's good. I'm about 5 or 10 pounds heavier because my wife's from Colombia and she cooks really well. So besides that, it's good. But I had to get back in the gym because of it. So.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you very much.
And
there's some good food, I bet, though.
How's the kiddo doing?
Good. Yeah. So I have a 17-year-old stepson, and then I have my son who's 6, and they're best buddies. And I think the age difference has actually been pretty awesome because the older one, a lot of high schoolers, they just don't want to take pictures with the parents. They want to do their own thing. But because he's got a little brother now that's impressionable, I feel like he likes to be in pictures with him. He likes to do stuff with him. So he definitely is a great big brother. So I'm glad to see that.
Well, that's amazing. Because you always hear the horror stories especially when there's such age disparity between the two, and you're a blended family. The older ones usually tend to treat the younger ones mean and stuff like that. So that's good to hear that.
Oh, he's been awesome. I took him actually to. I worked with an organization called Operation Warrior Wishes, and maybe I can make the introduction so you guys can have him on there because it's a great organization. And the guy that runs it, Craig, he basically takes warriors. Anywhere that their favorite sporting event is. So, I mean, he'll fly, like, I think he just got back. When I talked to him, he was in Boston taking a World War II veteran and some other vets out to a box at a game. And then the next day he was in Arizona for an all-star game of some sort. And then he went to Memphis. I mean, the guy just travels and does this for a living. But he reached out to me after seeing that I was in you probably saw it, Willis, and on Facebook. I recently was in a article in the local newspaper here about we did a thing about suicide prevention and things like that. Well, he reached out to me and he was like, great job, keep inspiring. I'd love to take you and your family out to a Chicago Fire game. And both of my kids are so into soccer. Like I said, the older one, he's from Colombia. So, I mean, obviously this South America is huge into soccer.
Right.
And, or football. Right. And so he was excited. And then my little one, he starts playing soccer next week. So it was pretty cool because he's tiny. So I had him standing. We were in the supporter section where everyone goes crazy and there's people are wearing drums and tambourines and just they're pretty much the life of the entire stadium. And we were there. So everyone's standing. No one sits for the entire game. so my son was standing on the chairs in front of me and I was holding on to him. It's 36 degrees outside and he's all bundled up. And we scored probably within the first 5 minutes, which doesn't happen too often in soccer. And so he got to see his first goal. We're right behind the goal and the pyrotechnics are going off. And I thought it was going to scare him because it was super loud, but he was with everyone else screaming and waving his finger everywhere. And it was pretty fun. So,
well, I was going to ask you about that because the whole purpose of this book was when you were at a concert and they had pyro and stuff like that. When you were on before, you had to leave and you went out into the corridor. And then that's the whole purpose of the book is because of that. How has writing this book and doing what you do for the Road Home program, how has that helped you with that?
So there's a lot of different things out there right now I guess the best way to describe it is like, get out of your own way in order for you to get help, right? Mm-hmm. Programs like Road Home program, where so Candace knows. So basically, our organization, it's a nonprofit through Rush University Medical Center in Chicago. So what we do is we help active duty, National Guard, reservists, as well as veterans and their families with the invisible wounds of war. But they don't have to have been through trauma in order to get help there. If they ever served a day in uniform, if they have just general anxiety, depression, not even linked to trauma through war or military sexual trauma, they're still able to get help through us. So, but what it does is it brings down your barriers. So like this is 6 months to a year's worth of mental health treatment in 10 days. It changes lives. Well, I got help through Road Home program after one of my close friends took his own life. And before that, I had three or four veterans on my caseload when I was a case manager working with homeless veterans that also unfortunately took their own life. And I wasn't getting help mentally, so it was a lot to take on myself. And so when my friend took his own life, that was kind of like the straw for me, and I reached out for help. And the VA, although I like the VA, I've had good experiences. When I needed them, unfortunately, they were 2 months behind on intake. And now they're 3 months behind on intake. So they are trying, but they're inundated. So organizations like us, we work with the VA and we're able to help them and then put them into a better place so they can go back to their the VA or whoever they're getting help through. So what I ended up doing, I got help through Road Home program a little bit, and then I started working there because I saw how valid the help was. And the first thing that we did as a group was to go to the Chicago Wolves hockey game. And I was told that I could bring my son. So, and Willis knows the story. But so we get there, we set up a table, we start talking to people, we give out brochures, explain how we can help and all that. Well, the guy that runs it, his name's Tim, he was like, hey, if you haven't seen the opening number, you need to go take a look at it. I should have asked some questions, but I didn't. And so I took my son, he was on my shoulders, he was 3 years old, brought him inside. We were up right against the glass. And then you see the mascot coming through, and then pyrotechnics and huge amount of fireworks and all that stuff. And fireworks for a lot of us are a huge trigger. And so I tried to leave, and then my son said he wanted to watch it. So I kind of just grinned and bared it. And when I walked back into the table, my boss was like, are you okay? And I said, no. And I was visibly upset. I mean, it was no way to hide. There was no way to hide it. And I know most of the time we're pretty good at hiding our feelings, but there was no way to hide it. And so my son was up there and he couldn't see me. So she kind of got the attention away from me and was asking him just like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite animal? Just playing the mom role. And I told her, I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to help other people when I'm a poster child of somebody that needs help? Yeah. And at that time, I thought that was bad. Now I see that it's a good thing for people that think when they see me that I have my shit together and then they realize I don't, and I'm just like everybody else. And I struggle as well. And I fall down and I get back up, and that's what's important. So to answer your question, long-winded. I was able to get help. It brought down my barriers. So once I got to the SGB shot originally, and I think I talked about it on the show as well, the Stella ganglion block shot, it's 2 shots of anesthesia that blocks, or that goes in your vagus nerve that attaches to your amygdala, the fight, flight, or freeze. in your brain. It gives you an extra second to rationalize before you react. So when I got that done, I was always kind of at like an 8 or 9, just ready to boil over at all times. And any little thing that just didn't go the way it was supposed to go would kind of send me boiling. And after this shot, it brought me down to maybe a 2 or 3. It was the first time I felt calm in 15 years. So, like I said, our organization, the SGB shot, whatever it is that people are able to find that can bring them down enough and get themselves out of their own way in order to then get trauma treatment is what's beneficial. So that's what I did. I got out of my own way. 2 days after the shot, I walked into my therapist's office and said, I want to work on my trauma. And that was the first time in 19 years that I ever talked about what I went through. So that was huge for me. And I started working on my trigger points, the main things that kept me up at night, the intrusive thoughts, watching someone die in front of me, being shot at, shooting, all these things were the things that kind of just were stuck. And working on those stuck points and doing EMDR, you guys know that, working on that stuff, I was able to get past those. But this is where some new information is going to happen, Willis. So after that, after I got help for that, I told my therapist, I was like, you know what? I don't want to talk about my trauma anymore. I just want to talk about my day-to-day life because, I think all of us have stress throughout or just our normal lives that aren't involved with trauma. Maybe what we went through kind of, still is part of it. But, I just wanted to complain about my my normal life. Right. And I think my therapist the reason he's good at what he does is that he's, very specifically works with trauma. So he very politely told me, if I didn't want to work on my trauma, I should find someone else. And I understand it. He said when I want to work on my trauma again, to let him know. And that's why he's good at what he does. He just focuses on trauma, which is I'm sure hard for him, as well. He's a combat vet himself. And but even though I work in an organization where we help people with mental health and I know better, I still was like, well, I feel fine. I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'll reach out when I need help, but that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to continue to work on yourself. But at the time I was kind of in a really good spot. I felt good. I got off of 3 out of 4 of my meds. I was doing really good. Well, I think we all know with the VA, there's a lot of changeover with doctors. So when they changed over and this guy changed my meds and took me off of 3 out of 4 of my meds, they put me on a type of medication that my body didn't absorb. But I didn't realize it because I was still kind of in a really good place because of this shot. Well, the shot, just like everything else, like when you go through our program, it's good for about a year or so without follow-up care. But the goal is for you to continue with that follow-up care. So the same with this shot, it's good for about a year or so without follow-up care. But because I stopped getting help, it started to wear off and I really didn't have those tools that I needed, that I knew I needed in order to kind of help myself when I was not doing great. And so I had a couple real bad days in a row where I went to the doctor. I got out of the doctor for a procedure and my wife's like, can you take a look at the bank accounts? And someone got me for everything except for $53. I mean, almost $7,000. We just started saving. I mean, we just started trying to do better. And, for someone to wipe everything. And he, this person, they got him on camera. He still got away with everything because they couldn't catch him. And the bank helped me, but it took almost a month to get everything fixed. So 2 days after that happened, I had to travel to Baton Rouge, Louisiana for a week for work with no money. And so that was pretty rough. And so then traveling is just hard on your family anyway. So
it is,
especially when my wife doesn't understand what I do for a living. So I talk for a living. So I went down there on a Sunday and I went out with an organization. I should introduce you to them too, because they're amazing. It's called Songs for Survivors. And this guy basically gets a group of vets together and they talk about trauma, and then he makes a professional song out of it. He does like the recording, everything. This guy was like, I think, runner up for the American Idol version. The country version of American Idol. It was like next top country star or something on CMT. Okay. So like he's really talented and the songs are amazing. It's called Songs for Survivors. But anyway, I went down for dinner. He took me out for dinner and that was my job for Sunday like that. I don't work a 9 to 5, so it's very hard for her to understand that I can go and talk for an hour or two, and like that's my main job for the day. So she thought I went down for fun. So I mean that was a problem. But I get back home and I just, for some reason, something triggered me and I couldn't regulate my emotions, and I didn't know that I was on. Basically, I haven't had meds for over a year and a half, and then I also haven't talked to anybody in almost a year and a half. So when I had a couple of real bad days in a row, I literally had nothing to fall back on, and I couldn't control my emotions, so I had to put myself in inpatient. Man, I was in inpatient for a week. That was like 2 weeks or 2 weeks ago or so. So like I was telling you, I was going through some stuff. I mean, but I think we're all placed in the place we need to be at the time. And so I'm humble enough to know that I don't have it together and that I need to get help when I'm struggling. So when I went there, the doctor the first day realized that I was on the wrong meds. She fixed them, and then the rest of the time I was just being monitored to make sure I didn't have any side effects. But there were a lot of younger vets that were like, having some problems, and they'd never been deployed. They never really been through a lot. And they were struggling because they couldn't leave. They couldn't, they didn't have the rights that they would if they weren't an inpatient. And I was just sharing my story with them. And it was cute because these 18 and 19-year-olds, they had like notepads and were like I was some guru. And they were just like writing down notes about life. And I think I helped a lot of them kind of see some things differently. So I think I was there besides to get help, I think I was there for a reason as well.
Yeah, you definitely were. God puts us in places that we need to be, and He puts people in our lives at the times that we need them. And I'm a very strong believer of that. And thankfully, you saw some signs, and you're like, "Hey, I need to go get help." A lot of veterans out there, they see the signs, but they don't want to go get the help. And I'm not here to knock the VA, because I've had a pretty decent experience with the VA so far. Of course, the last time I think we talked, I hadn't started my journey with the VA. It did take me a little while to get my community consult set up for my therapy. But everything else has been going pretty smooth, like my doctor visits and stuff like that. And therapy was a little bit tricky. So I am going to an outside therapist, and he's a civilian doc. He hasn't been through anything that we've been through. And, it's just like he's dealt with trauma, like from first responders and other veterans as well. He's seen it and heard some of their stories and stuff like that. He's helped them cope with it. He's like, "Look, I'm not going to do away with your trauma that you've had, but I'll help you with things to help you control your triggers and things that you can do to, processes that you can follow." So I'm glad that you were able to see that you needed help, and you had the road home to help you, go to inpatient and do what you needed to do to get yourself better. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that, man. And then the Songs for Heroes, I think I've heard of them before.
Songs for Survivors, yeah.
Yeah, I think I've heard of them before, but I never reached out to them. Now we've had James Thornton on, who's an ambassador for Warrior Rounds, which is based out of Nashville, Tennessee, and they do the same thing. They pair them with singer-songwriters, Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriters, and they write a story. The veterans tell the singer-songwriter about their life. Now they're also, I think it's a 2-day, 3-day program that they go through, and then they write a song, and then a month later they go to Hard Rock Cafe and they release that song, via at the Hard Rock. And I would love to speak with the two organizations that you mentioned. We can connect via email.
Yeah.
I think that'd probably be the easiest way to connect us. And so,
how are you now?
Good. Yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Yeah, it's hard because the answer is normally good regardless on how you feel.
Right.
We're so used to just saying, "Oh, I'm fine."
So that's where our moniker. So she just asked you how you were doing, right?
Yeah.
And you said, "I'm good." That's where our moniker. I'm gonna go ahead and watch this. I'm gonna put this right here. Ask the next hard question.
Yeah.
How are you really doing?
Yeah.
So that's, that's something we have to always, ask is how are you really doing?
Right.
Because like you just said, my normal answer is going to be good.
Yeah.
Most veterans, most
We don't want to
people,
burden people.
right.
That's one of the biggest things. That's one of the biggest reasons why people commit suicide.
Yeah.
Is they don't want to be a burden, or they feel like they're a burden to their family and their loved ones and so forth. And that's how I felt before I went to inpatient. So,
I mean, you just went through a lot of things, and you got
yeah.
a new marriage, a new family, a whole new lifestyle. And from what I'm assuming, like, you have a very supportive new wife, and a great thing sitting there in front of you. Unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't take away from all of the things that you're going through internally. And, like you said, you wanted to focus on some of your everyday things. And so dealing with that on top of your past and, traumas and things like that. So, I'm glad that you went and made that choice and were able to recognize that, because it is very rare that somebody will do that and recognize that and almost hold themselves accountable for it. And I think it's hard for a lot of veterans to let go of the ego or show a little humility. But I'm so glad that you did that. And then looking at the things that you've done on your journey with Rush and of course your book, that book excites me so much. I remember when it first came in the mail and I was reading through it, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever, because sometimes people forget about the kids, and you're focused on that veteran, and sometimes you're focused on the significant other of the veteran. And what about the kids that have no idea and couldn't possibly even comprehend some of the things that are happening? So
yeah, it's hard. I mean, that's pretty much the reason why I wrote the book. Like you were saying, it's hard enough for us to talk to our peers, talk to our family, talk to our friends, another adult or what have you. But it's even harder to talk to someone that doesn't understand fear. That's so little that they've never been in a position like that. I mean, I was pretty lucky to grow up in the suburbs where, gunshots, besides the hunters and stuff in the woods behind us, I mean, it really wasn't very prevalent. I know a lot of people grow up in the inner cities and things like that where they are accustomed to violence. I really didn't see it. So, I mean, the first time I saw fear, I was, in Iraq, basically. So it was foreign, and it took me 19 years to even admit that I was scared.
Yeah.
So, to be in a position where I'm trying to explain being scared to a little kid, and he, now he laughs about it. We were talking about it yesterday, actually, because I was asking him how he felt after all that noise and stuff. And he actually asked me, and they're so smart. Like, little kids are so smart. And he remembers when I put the book out, and he was 3, and he was like, "Daddy, do fireworks still scare you?" And I was like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, no, not too much, man." And, I didn't know what I was doing back when I got back. I didn't know I was doing exposure therapy on my own without being a clinician or anything. I didn't know what I was doing. My friends thought I was crazy because I would, every single year, I'd force myself to go to fireworks. And they were like, "Why do you do this when you hate them? Why do you do this when it makes you cry?" And I was like, well, like, one day I want to be in a place where I'm not emotional when I see fireworks, or I don't have these horrible memories when they flash into my head. Because I saw that, some of my friends' parents, they take sleeping pills when it's 4th of July. And I was like, I remember when my dad, would go and get some fireworks, and we play with fireworks in the front yard. It's illegal in Illinois, so I probably shouldn't say that. But
he lives somewhere else. At the time you guys were visiting family somewhere.
Yeah, but I remember those memories, and I never wanted to limit my son from having those amazing core memories with having fun with me, or like going to a parade with me, or going to a carnival, just because I don't like crowds. So those are things that I had to work on. And I tell people all the time, like, the families are the people that we try to lean on as much as possible, because most of us, if it was just us, we wouldn't get help. We wouldn't care. Like, if it was just me, I would have been totally fine with sitting in my basement after work, putting that face on and pretending to be happy and in a good mood and nice to everybody. And then taken it off and just sitting by myself in my basement.
Mhm.
I would have been totally fine with that, but you can't do that with a family. Like you shouldn't do it.
You should, yeah.
No,
So
if you
only
want to
have
keep
a finite time with your family, you know, like we're basically memories for our kids. It's it.
yeah. So for me, so I got out in 2004, and before I got out, concerts. I always loved concerts and stuff like that. And then after I got out, going to crowded places and concerts and stuff like that has always been a struggle, and still to this day, it's still a struggle. But I still go because my wife and kids want to go. And but like when I'm sitting in the middle of the aisle and there's people around me and it gets crazy, and my head's always looking from side to side, front to back, and sometimes I go and I have a good time, and then other times I go and it's just like I just sit there like a knot in a log, sit in my seat, and I'm not having a really good time. And but I'm working on it. It's.
So you're even like that at church.
Yeah, I'm like that at
Doesn't have to
church
be a
as
concert.
well. Like I have to sit at the end of the row. I can't sit in the middle of the row, and it just. But I'm working on it. At least I'm going. I'm there. And sometimes like I said, sometimes I enjoy it. Sometimes I don't.
It's weird because it's one of those things too where I don't know if you've had this feeling. I'm sure you have, but when you're at a function like a concert or a sporting event or something, and you just can't wait till it's over. You like want to fast forward and have the memories of you being there and it was a great time, but you don't want to be there like that.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. That's how I would feel all the time. You're like,
Yes.
man, I wish this would just fast forward so I can go home and then I can be like, oh, that was fun.
Yeah. So the wife and I recently went to Houston, and we stayed with Matt and Becky with So Matt's one of the co-hosts of Triple Threat Vets podcast. He's also the founder of Got Your Six Culture, Same Flag, Same Oath, which they do T-shirts and stuff like that. And he invited us out to Texas, and we went to the Houston Rodeo, and we had tickets to see. So the Houston Rodeo, then Jelly Row. Well, they had tickets for good seats for Jelly Row. Well, we were up there and sitting down, and Jelly Row was, doing his thing, and we had other things to do afterwards. Like we were going to go see Bubba Wesley, which Bubba Wesley's amazing. We had all access pass to, go backstage with Bubba and stuff over at the Hideout, and we were up there with Jelly Row, and my wife loves Jelly Row, and Matt and Becky texted and they said, hey, we're going to go over to go see Bubba now. Do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, let's go. And my wife got so mad at me because I was ready to get up and leave. I like Jelly Roll. I love his music, but I was ready to get up and leave. It's just like, I need to get out of here because there's a shit ton of, there's 74,000 people there, yeah, it was a lot of people. And it was just like, bro, what do we do?
Yeah. So I have to add, I'm curious now. So you said your wife is Colombian.
Yeah.
So she grew up in Colombia?
Yeah, she just came here about 2 years ago.
Okay. So with her, you were saying that she doesn't really understand what you do for a living. So I have to ask, with her being from Colombia and you hear so much, I mean, does she understand fear? Like, did she see some of the things that happened down in Colombia that she
was a prosecutor for the judicial system.
Oh.
So she came over here on asylum because they threatened her family and her
goodness.
life.
So
she understands it.
She understands, yeah. She probably understands more than a lot of us. Yeah,
okay, well now I'm even more curious. How did you guys meet?
Facebook.
Really? Okay. Sorry, I'm nosy. I am nosy.
No worries. And what's funny, the funniest part is I don't speak Spanish and she doesn't speak English. So
my brother just fell in love and having the same thing, and they would translate on their phone. But my brother met a Peruvian, and they live together now, and it's the cutest thing ever. They're adorable. But he's starting to learn Spanish, and she's learning a little bit, but it's almost like, it's love. But
so
my mom's from Ecuador, so I grew up knowing, they didn't teach me because we grew up in a suburb where there's only a couple Hispanic families.
Yeah.
So they thought that I would be picked on, and I'm like, fantastic. I look Hispanic and I can't speak Spanish. But
Sorry,
I know a lot of words, but I can't put sentences together. So I'll hear stuff and my brain will put sentences together and it's totally wrong, and it ends up being funny most of the time. But she's learning and I'm learning, and then my 6-year-old is in dual language kindergarten, so he
Nice.
should be bilingual by the time he's in 8th grade. And then
Yeah.
my stepson's in high school learning English, so hopefully over the next 4 years we'll have a house of dual language. That'd be amazing.
No,
How
that
awesome is
that
that?
would be amazing. So my oldest daughter is so she's in Spanish 2, and then next year she'll be taking Spanish 3. But she's planning on, after she graduates next year, she's planning on going to the Air Force. And I was like, look, whatever you do once you go to college, because she's planning on going to college before she goes into the Air Force, I was like, you need to continue a second language. I said, for one, it's going to be very beneficial for you to be bilingual by the time you get into the job force. I said, depending on what you want to do. She wants to be an FBI agent. I said, if you're bilingual as an FBI agent, that's going to give you a little bit more, a step up of somebody who only speaks English or only speaks one language. I said, you just need to continue your second language. I said, if you want, you can actually, there's different dialects, because you know as well as I do, if you're from Colombia, Puerto Rico, the Dominican, they all speak different dialects of Spanish. And then, so we got a question here. Chris Raymond, he's in South America. He's a Army veteran. He said, what is the Veteran Outreach Program, Mathius? So he's talking about the outreach at...
So I'm a veteran outreach coordinator for the Road Home program, which is a nonprofit through Rush University Medical Center. So what we do is our main bread and butter is the intensive outpatient program, which is what he's probably asking about. So our intensive outpatient program, so we help active duty, National Guard, reservists, as well as veterans and their families with mental health. So what we will do is we actually will fly the service member out from anywhere in the world. So if he wanted to then get help for anything, right? For if he has trauma, anything like that, we'll fly him out from where he lives. So we've flown expats. So we've flown expats out from Mexico, from Germany, every single state in the United States, every territory, Guam, Puerto Rico, everywhere. We'll fly and we pay for the flight, the food, the housing. We'll even pay, like, if they, the closer you get to getting help, sometimes these barriers just pop up. You're so close and you're like about to leave for help, and then it's like, well, I really can't get away from work for 10 days, stuff like that. So we work with organizations that will actually pay a month of like some bills, like your electricity, your rent, your mortgage, whatever it is. We'll do whatever we can to bring down these barriers to care. So that's where we really set ourselves apart from a lot of organizations. And we help pre and post 9/11, which you won't see too much of. A lot of organizations are post 9/11 because most organizations are like, well, there's the VFW and the American Legion. And even though I'm very, very active in both of those, they don't do as much as Wounded Warrior Project and all these other organizations out there that help with post 9/11 primarily. So to answer your question, so that's what our organization does is we help with mental health. We also do, so I was telling you there's some new stuff that I wanted to discuss. So with Road Home program, we actually do a 1-week accelerated online, like a virtual as well.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of you guys, and I mean you guys with anyone down south, do not want to come up to Chicago in the winter. I don't know why. I mean, if the wind will go through your clothes and your skin and your meat and hit you right in the bones. But
Well,
but
don't try
anyway,
to talk anybody into it, Mathius.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get people up here from the south. But we have an accelerated 1-week program, which is basically two times a day for a week of cognitive processing therapy.
Okay.
And they're so good at it that within a week they see the same numbers, the drop in the numbers, as they do with the 2-week intensive outpatient program.
Wow.
So, but if anyone is even out there thinking about getting help for themselves, 10 days does more than what 19 years of outpatient treatment did for me. So just to think about it, you can give yourself 2 weeks away from your family, away from work, away from everything to change your life forever. It's pretty worth it. And how they do it is it's very holistic. So it's not just talk therapy. It's not just sitting in a room for hours and talking to somebody. They do individual treatment. They also do group therapy. They do mindfulness, which I know I'm probably one of the only people out there that didn't know what mindfulness was. I mean, I heard about it all the time, but I didn't know what it was. So when I got the job there, I said, excuse my ignorance, but what's mindfulness? And she was laughing. She was like, well, what we found is a lot of vets care a lot about them, other people, and not too much about themselves. And that was a light bulb moment, because I was like, wow, before I worked here, I felt very alone. I didn't feel like I was like everybody else. I thought my feelings were very unique, but they're not.
Right.
And that's good to know. It's good to feel that other people are in the same boat, because that's so hard with mental health, to feel like you're alone. You can have 1,000 people in your corner, but you still feel like you're by yourself. And when someone tells you that's normal for vets to feel that way, I was like, holy shit. Like I needed to feel that. And then we do art therapy, we do yoga, we even offer acupuncture. They do it on your ear and it helps with PTSD. Acupuncture, we do help with sleep hygiene. And then we also have an amazing chaplain who is ex-special forces that helps with moral injury, which a lot of us suffer from, And for me, growing up Catholic, that was hard, I mean, they corner the guilt on shame, they corner the market on guilt. And so growing up with the right and wrong, good and bad, all that stuff, and then having to cross some lines was very hard to come back from. And so that, and then our art therapy, I love our art therapy program. Our art therapist is absolutely amazing what she does. So much so that we even do a traveling art therapy exhibit to some colleges and stuff like that, so that civilians can see it. And I think that's very impactful. But what they do is they give a plaster mask to the service members that go through the program. And on the outside, they want you to depict how society sees you, or how you think society sees you. And then on the inside, how you see yourself. And I lost my bearings. I lost my shit when I walked into that room the first day I worked there. I was with the executive director of the organization, and I started crying. And I was like, I'm sorry, man. And he was a vet too. He was in the Navy and then the Army. But I was like, wow, I've never felt so heard by just looking at stuff. It's like walking into Hallmark, and every single card you picked up, it speaks exactly how you feel. It's crazy. If we were so good at doing that ourselves, right? Nobody would buy greeting cards. They would just buy blank cards and write their feelings out. It's so tough to get inside and talk about yourself, your insecurities and your shame and guilt. So when I saw those, I was like, wow, that was impactful. But
definitely. So
awesome organization. Road Home program changes lives for families. One of my friends is I'm sorry, last thing, and then I'll
No, you're good. You're good.
One of my friends, he's a new friend. He's his name's Donnie. He's on Facebook all the time as well. He's always on veteran chats. You probably run across him, Donnie Fontenau, and he's from Louisiana, and he's our first ambassador.
That's awesome.
But yeah, he was separated from his wife for over 2.5 years. And he went through our program. Not only did it help him, but it helped his relationship. And now they're back better than ever.
That's awesome.
Moving to Houston. And just his life is completely different because of Road Home program. So,
well, if he's moving to Houston, I can hook him up with three great guys, Ty Cobb, Matt Johnson, and Scott Blake. They're 3/4 of the Triple Threat Vets podcast. They all live in the Houston area. Amazing guys. They would probably love to, take him under their wing out there in Houston and help him out. So Chris Raymond with Veteran Hundo Club. I don't know if you've heard anything about Veteran Hundo Club, but what they're doing, and like when I've spoke to Chris a few times, and we're going to have him on the podcast, him and his business partner. His business partner is in England, originally from France. We're going to have them on, and what Veteran Hundo Club is doing is amazing. It's something that I've never seen in the veteran community when you're collabing. Like they kind of bring their it's kind of like a military structure, but what they're doing is they're getting all these different people that have all these different talents, whether they be a lawyer, a clinical technician, therapist, you name it. They're bringing them underneath the one fold. And he's asking if the Road Home program, do they partner or collab with other organizations, is what he's asking.
Oh, for sure. So that's part of our job as outreach coordinators. So we have 5 outreach coordinators that cover the whole U.S. So basically we all cover about 10 states and then all the territories and things like that. But our goal is to partner with other organizations, because when people go through our program, one of the days we sit down with them, I actually sit down with them and talk about national resources. So, we'll talk about pretty much anything out there, just the whole gambit. If somebody wants to get into working out, there's a whole bunch of different organizations like Catch a Lift Fund and Warrior Wad and stuff like that. And then we'll work with like other organizations that help with service animals and help with finances. But I mean, we talk with all different organizations and see how we can work together to help each other out. So yeah, I mean, Willis just put my email in there. Please reach out, any organizations out there. And then Triple Threat, I need to get a hold of them too, because I'm the outreach coordinator for Texas, so they need to get me on their show.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I can definitely do that.
It amazes me, like the Road Hope program. And I know that you've probably not even touched on some other things, but the details and like going above and beyond these things to break down those barriers, that one little thing that keeps somebody from getting help, or even those 10 things that is keeping somebody from getting the help that they need and that they deserve to live a fulfilling life and be able to function and spend time with their family. Like, I'm amazed at everything that they cover, whether it's bills, whether it's travel, whether it's everything that you guys are providing and working with these other organizations to help with as well. Like, it's amazing to me. Like, you want to talk about simply amazing. It's craziness.
When I first met Mathius and we, had him on the show and was talking about what the Road Home program has done and is doing, dude, I was blown away. I was kind of like you, And then we talked about the book, but it was more about the Road Home program and what they were doing for veterans and families. Because if there's a lot of organizations out there that only focus on the veterans,
right?
They don't ever focus on the family aspect of it, because only the veteran has PTS. No, that's wrong, because here I am. I've been out since 2004. I didn't have my first child until 2007. But with my PTS, my kids have to, they feel the effects of my PTS. So they're dealing with their own PTS, because if dad is having a bad day and he snaps, then they have to adjust. They have to adjust.
Secondary PTSD is a huge thing for sure. Yeah. And just like you were talking about, I never noticed it. And I started being a little more cognizant since he's been a little older. Like, just an example, little kids, they want you to go to the bathroom with them when you're in public, and once he started getting older, he wanted to be, wanted me to stand outside the door or whatever it was. And one time we were both using the urinal and he finished first, and then he stood facing this way when my back was to him. He kind of like, service dogs are taught to stand behind you and guard you. He did that for me, and I lost it. I was like, really? He was like, don't worry, Daddy. Nobody's going to come up behind you.
Oh, that's awesome. That is amazing.
Oh God, I love it. But
that's not like a normal thing that parents have to deal with, no. For him to pick up on that with me never saying anything, it's crazy that he knows that I don't like people coming up behind me. They're just so smart with that stuff. But Willis, like you said, and I'm glad you said it, because that was my next thing to talk about as well, was like, what we've always done with families is during the second week of our programming, we did a couple of days of psychoeducation. So allowing the families to kind of better understand what their service members going through and how they can better support their families. But then what we found was that a lot of family members were asking if we offered anything to help. And so we ended up doing something, uh, the same intensive outpatient program that we do for service members, we're now doing for families. So
Wow.
this year we're doing one in July, and then we're doing a couple next year, and the possibility of some virtual ones as well. But they're going to have the same access where we fly them in, we pay for everything. They don't have to have insurance, they don't have to have a dime in their pocket. And then they don't even have to talk about their service member. I know, like Willis said, we cause a lot of PTSD to our families as well, unintentionally, but they don't have to talk about their service members. If they have anxiety, depression, past trauma before they even met the service members, childhood trauma, any of that stuff, they can work on themselves at no cost. And so that's a huge thing as well that we're just starting to do. That was one of the main reasons why I wanted to touch base with you again, was just to put that out there, because family members can get help and it doesn't cost anything. Just put
No,
it
that's
in.
awesome.
So what amazes me is I'm looking at all of these different things, like, because I run my own nonprofit, and like I know what it takes to provide things sometimes, and it's just
$35,000 or roughly for one person to go through our program.
That's insane. So what kind of fundraising does Road Home do? Like, is it are there
Road Home's rapidly funded? So our main donor obviously is Wounded Warrior Project, Warrior Care Network. So Warrior Care Network, they started in, I think, 2008. They started putting a lot of money into mental health. And so they have 4 academic medical centers all over the U.S. So there's us in Chicago. I don't know which way because it's backwards probably for you guys, but there's us. And then in the East Coast, we got Home Base, which was the first of all of them. Home Base was, hold on one second. Need water. So Home Base was the first one. And so that's in Boston, and it's attached to Mass General and Massachusetts General Hospital. So I mean, it's in Harvard and so forth. So I mean, it's a great academic medical center. And then you have us in Chicago, which we're attached to Rush University Medical Center. And then you have LA. There's one with UCLA attached to it called Operation Mend, which and then there's one in Atlanta that is with what are they
Operation
called?
Mend, UCLA, home Base.
Yeah, the last one.
Home Base.
No, that one.
UCLA Health Operation Mend.
Yep. They're gonna kill me at work for not remembering this.
It's okay.
It's TBI, bro. TBI.
Yeah, no. And
all 4 of these.
The one in all of them have different specialties.
Okay.
So the one in Atlanta, that one really focuses, their main modality is prolonged exposure. And, prolonged exposure is probably the worst in my eyes for doing it. Probably because that was the first one I ever tried, and I didn't know there was different modalities. So being, 22, trying to get help for the first time, and then being told to talk about every single little thing that bothered me, and then record myself and listen to it over and over again. That's what they tried when I was younger. Emory. Geez. Yeah. I know them very, very closely.
You got it.
But Emory Healthcare Veterans Program. So what they have is amazing. And it's not meant to be easy. None of this stuff is easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it, right? But it helps. And they have the research out there that shows that cognitive processing therapy, prolonged exposure, things like that are like the main ones that really work the best. Well, anyway, they work with virtual reality. So what they'll do is they give you, they have like a rumble packs and everything. So you can sit in like a Humvee or a tank type of thing. And they have the rumble packs, and it can simulate a blast from an IED. You're in a virtual world where while you're remembering it and saying it out loud, somebody's back there making the scene for you. So you could talk about how there was a bicycle that came up on your left, and as soon as he went by, he was ringing his bell, and then like a rocket came in, and it can pump in a whole bunch of different smells of trash and burning and all this other stuff. And it's meant to get you to that place so that you can work through what you're going through,
Is that what is that called? Immersion therapy?
Yeah, that's part of prolonged exposure. Yeah.
I've heard of that. Like, I've heard people talk about immersion therapy, because I know for me, like when I was in one of the worst places I was at was Haiti, and the smells, that's some of my triggers. Like if I go through by a landfill and it's a hot summer day and it stinks 10 times to hell and back, it transports me right back to Haiti, because they in Port-au-Prince they had what they call their marketplace, and literally the first time I went to the marketplace, I almost threw up because of the smell. It was that bad. And and that's the first time I seen somebody with a tire wrapped around their neck, and it was burning. They were screaming. We couldn't do anything as Americans, because that's their culture. And it's just like, holy cow. So certain smells triggers me. Seeing, when we were at the guard towers, we had a group of guys that would have women and children in front of them. They were shooting at our tower, but they wasn't hitting the tower, but they were shooting over our heads. And, the first time that ever happened is like, hey, they're shooting at us. Can we shoot back? And they're like, no, you can't shoot back. And it's just like, the only way you could shoot back is if it hit you or if it hit your tower. And I'm like, bro, here
rules of engagement, and people don't know that. It's crazy. I tell that story all the time. I had the first time bullets were coming in when I was at a guard tower in Iraq. The first time they were coming in when I was on guard duty, they were coming in on an angle, and I had to call it in, and everyone's like, why? And I'm like, rules of engagement, they have to be coming directly at you. Mm-hmm. And because it was coming on an angle, and that was 3rd ID that was in charge at the time, and it wasn't until 4th ID that took over from Texas that I felt safe, because Texas plays by their own rules. They didn't.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think everyone knows that in the country. But they basically said if anyone was shooting, they'll come through and flame throw the whole area and then shoot whatever's left. If you're out and you're trying to herd sheep, you do it with a stick. They've been doing it for thousands of years. If we see you with a gun, you're getting shot. Like when Texas came in, they didn't play by the same rules. So awesome. They made me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. So I put a link in the chat here. This link here is an Amazon link. It takes you right to his book, Instead of Sheep, A Soldier's Way of Explaining PTS to Your Son. So that's in there. Mathias's email's in there if you want to get connected with Mathias. And then I also put in there Wounded Warrior Project, the Warrior Care Network, which is part of Road Home, is part of that. Yep. So I put that in there. Now, the last time we spoke, which we've texted several times since I had you on the show before, how's the process of other books? Because I know you said you were going to be starting to write other books and stuff like that. How's that process going?
Putting them on the spot.
So I'm done with the next one, and I'm almost done with the third. It's really hard. It's hard to explain to people that, with the first one, it was such a good idea. And then once it was released, I had a really hard time with it. And people don't understand. And it's like, well, there are so many tough people over the telephone and behind the keyboard. And I worked in a call center where I was working. I was one of the people where they were like, oh, let me get my supervisor on the phone for you. And I had to deal with the irate people all the time. So I got screamed at on the phone all the time, but I don't have ridiculously thick skin. So I take offense to a lot of stuff, and it bothers me. I'm emotional all the time. I don't know. That's just my personality, I guess. But anyway, so I didn't like getting cursed out by someone my grandma's age. Like, that bothered me. So I wasn't ready to handle if someone had something negative to say, because this isn't like a made up story.
Yeah.
It's my life. And luckily every single person has been amazing. I'm getting awesome reviews and even more emails than reviews. I wish they would put in the reviews what they email me, because it's heartwarming that, they're getting help, and I was one of the reasons why, or they're able to talk to their family, and I was one of the reasons why. And that stuff is just so awesome to hear. That's the reason why we put this out. I mean, I did it for my son. It was just going to be, a time consuming and expensive endeavor for my son to know that it wasn't his fault and that I loved him.
Mhm.
And I think when you have PTSD, I feel like that's a normal feeling to just feel like you're not going to live an extremely long life. And I wanted him to have something tangible that showed that I cared about him. But once we made it, my buddy Nick, the illustrator who's amazing, he was like, man, we got to put this out. And so we had some other people look at it, and they basically thanked us, like, how, because it's hard. They were like, thank you for allowing us to talk to our families. How was I going to put this weight on their hearts? Like, so it was just, it opens up the door. And I was telling someone else, like, because we're going to make one and I just need to meet with her and make sure we're on the same page. But my junior vice commander of the VFW that I'm the commander for, I asked if we could tell her story, because I know how impactful it is for that, for women to tell their story as well, because so many women veterans are forgotten. And we try to make sure, I mean, I just know because I had, my sister we joined before me, and she was a military police investigator, and she's a badass. And so, I mean, I've had a lot of really quality leaders that were women who led me and made me want to be better in the military. So, I mean, I'm used to it. So I don't judge when I'm at an organization and someone comes to the table. I'm like, did you serve? And most of the time it's yes, sometimes it's no, but I'll never
you'll never automatically assume the male is
assume. I would never assume that. If my sister goes out and she, with her ex-husband, when they used to go out, she would say, can I get a military discount? And they would look at him and say, thank you for your service, and that's normal. So I brought that up to her to ask if she'd be willing to do this story with me, because one of the first reviews I got from a veteran that went through the intensive outpatient program, she was like, this was amazing. All I had to do was change daddy to mommy. And then I told the story to my daughter, and I was like, you shouldn't have to do that, So we're working on that. But like I was saying, to answer your question, the next one's done. I just have to meet up with Nick so we can make sure that we're on the same page for what we want it to look like, because this one's going to be longer, and it's going to be harder because I'm getting away from the rhyming. I think everyone knows that when you try to say something, it's very hard to rhyme everything. Nothing works perfectly. And so having to rhyme was something that I wanted to do because my kid was little. Now he's a little older, and I want to work on a little older of a demographic. And I'm working with a doctor that works at Road Home program, he's the director of our family program, and he's going to make sure that I'm targeting the correct age, and he's going to kind of be my liaison to make sure that what I'm saying is, I know it's correct, because I've been through it, and I'm just talking about my feelings.
Right.
But I wanted to make sure that I have basically you're doing good from a clinician who's also a professor at Rush University Medical Center. Just a little more of a buy-in.
We're going to watch your books grow with your boy. Like, that's something so special.
Yeah, that's something
so special.
That's something that he said when we first spoke, that he was going to write the next book was going to, as his kid got older, he was going to write a book for age appropriate that way. And then he was also said that, because I've heard the same thing, a lot of people said that, well, this is for only guys or boys. And why didn't they say mommy or my daughter, and I'm like, well, he's going to change that, but this originally was for his son,
right?
That's why he wrote this
specifically
book. And I said it was just when they got done writing, and this is what I tell people when I talk about it, when they got done writing it, they realized it was too good to keep to themselves. Which
absolutely,
literally, if you haven't read this book, I would highly recommend it. My daughters are older when they first read it, and they loved it, and then they understood, you wrote it for your kid, and they're like, Dad, that explains a lot. It kind of dumbed it down for them because sometimes it was hard for me to explain the things that I went through. And when I let them read that, they're like, yeah, that's you right there, Dad.
Now I need a copy.
So I'll send you one. Send me your information. I'll find one for you. So the next one, I'm talking about big issues that hurt, man, like moral injury, You know, when my son was 3, I remember he came to me and he was crying and I didn't know what was going on. I was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I wasn't sure if he was hurt or something. And he broke something. And then he wanted to tell me about it. And he was like, I'm bad. I'm a bad boy, blah, blah, blah. And it's so easy for us as parents. And this is not just trauma related. It's just being a parent too, I feel like. But, you know, it's so easy for us to tell our kids that you're a good person that made a mistake, right? But then I sit and, you know, after I tell him that, his world is perfect again. And he goes and he has fun and he watches cartoons and there's no problems in his head. But then I sit in my own thoughts like, why can't I give myself grace? So I'm talking about that. I'm talking about how certain times of the month bother us. Like I'll just get really upset or emotional or just feel a certain way. And then I look at the date and I'm like, that's why.
Yeah.
You know, like that. Or I got a phone call actually just a couple of days ago from a buddy that I served with on top of the mountain. So I was on top of a mountain on the border of Syria for the last 6 months or so. And it's crazy because my TBI really messed with me, man, because I was at a funeral for one of my friends and everyone was like, oh, Carlos is here. I was like, who's that? And they showed me a picture. Still didn't know who this guy was. And then it was during COVID. So he had a mask on and he had a hat on. And all I saw was here from across the room. And I was like, I know him. And then I walked up to him and I was like, we served together, right? He was like, dude, we lived on top of the mountain together for 6 months. And there was only 8 of us. How the hell did I forget? And I probably only remember 3 people that were up there and I lived with them, like only 8 people. And I forgot. So TBIs are fun.
Oh yeah. Trust me. I know.
But I got a call from from one of my buddies that I served with on top of the mountain. And my son's like, why aren't you answering it? And I'm like, how do you explain that? How do you explain that you love these people, but it's so hard to answer the phone?
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, I hope it's a good conversation, but, you know, sometimes it's not. And it's like, oh, you got to prepare yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are we going to talk about? Did someone kill themselves? You know, and luckily it was a good conversation. But the thing is, like, you know, I've got like all these different things in my phone for my buddies. And it's like, I love them to death, but I don't talk to them very often. And I'm trying to fix that. But, you know, trying to explain to my son that it's hard to answer the phone.
Yeah.
But
it really is, especially if it's somebody you served with that you went through trauma together.
Yeah.
That's like one of my friends. We just reconnected. Like I left 2-8 in 2000, and he was still with 2-8, and I went to 1-8, and we lost track of, you know, a really long time. And I had the TBI from when I fell out of the back of a Humvee. The driver decided he was going to go really fast in a creek bed. Well, me and the guy across from me, and I could picture his face, but I can't tell you his name. And what happened when he went down in the creek bed and hit the rocks, me and the guy across from me went over the troop strap and fell out and landed in the creek. And I was knocked out for like 3 minutes. And, you know, I can't remember. I can remember the driver, but I can't remember who else was in the Humvee with me. But me and Danny just recently reconnected a while back, and when he calls, I don't know if it's going to be a good conversation or a bad conversation. I don't know what he's going to be on, you know, where his mindset is. So sometimes it's hard for me to answer the phone until he leaves a voicemail, and then I could tell, I could gauge it, and then if it's a bad night, then I'll give it a few minutes and I collect my thoughts and how I'm going to respond to, you know, what he's talking about. And then other times, you know, it's just like, holy cow, what do we do? Because it like you said, it is hard to answer. Now, if a random veteran calls me, which, you know, everybody's got my number out there. If a random person calls and I don't have them stored in my phone, I answer. And I'm more apt to answer them than I am somebody who's in my phone as brother or, you know, something of that nature, just because I don't know that person's story that is calling me, but I do know, you know, the people that I call family. So
well, it's also causing you to relive that.
Yeah, it is. It does.
And if you're not prepared for that or ready for that, then.
So this next book too is going to be, I feel like a lot more illustrations, less words. because these are bigger things that are going to take a little more visual understanding on what's going on and stuff like that. But yeah, just delve a little deeper into like intrusive thoughts and nightmares, night terrors, and just kind of the stuff we talked about a little bit in the first book, some more impactful stuff, but then also just aging up the stuff that we've kind of already gone over. And then the most important theme of the first book, which I'm glad people saw, and it's going to continue, is the importance of getting help, the importance of talking, the importance of finding what it is you need in order to make yourself the best person you can. And sometimes even teaching little kids that emotions are okay. That's why I continue to get help, is I need to understand my own emotions before I can explain to him how he can understand his and how he can regulate his and become as understanding, so that he's a better husband, a better boyfriend, a better man, a better whatever. And so that's extremely important. And I want to explain that there's, all of us have different outlets when it comes to anger and all that. Like I was into martial arts. I tried to get back into martial arts. That helps with that, working out, yoga, whatever it is that you need to find in order to help. I'm going to try to work that theme in there as well, because I want my son to understand that anger is okay. You need to be able to express your anger, express your feelings. All that stuff is totally normal, because if you can't understand your anger, you're going to grow up to be a man that punches walls or abuses people or whatever. You need to be able to have it and channel it. Like, having that is okay. It's just, you need to be able to channel it correctly
in a positive way.
Yeah.
Definitely. So you're going to upgrade the book to make it a little bit more age appropriate.
Yeah.
I know the last time we spoke, you said you were going to dive into like military sexual trauma as well. I'm assuming I'm assuming that the vice commander, the junior vice,
she did not have MST. I thought I wasn't sure. I asked if she did. She did not. But but that is definitely something that I think it would be impactful, as well as talking about that. I just have to find the right person that's willing to tell the story and so forth. I know some people that are close to me that have, but I don't know if they're willing to share yet.
Share the story yet. Yeah, I mean, it would be hard. I'm saying this from a male perspective, but I know if I had military sexual trauma, it would be hard for me to talk about it. So I'm assuming that there's a lot of females out there that don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah. The hardest part I feel like is also
it's hard whether it's military or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like I mean, obviously the sexual trauma part is bad, but it also, the hardest part I feel like may even be that it was the people that you're supposed to confide in, the people that are supposed to have your back in war, the people that are in your own team, your own platoon, your own whatever.
Your own leadership.
Those are the ones that normally do it, and that just to be able to have to work with those people still and have to like pretend like it didn't happen would probably even be like worse, I feel like.
Yeah. No, I would agree with you.
So do we have a name for the next book?
It's a series, so I'm probably going to try to keep it very similar to what we have already. I know it's a father talking about his son thing, and I'll try to figure out a way to not make it as like siloed, but it really is my story to my kid.
Yeah.
So I hope people understand that and they can take it and use it for their own. But beautiful. I was trying to explain to people too, is even if we did one for females first, her story and trauma in general is so relatable that I could have made her story and still been able to use it to explain what I'm going through to my son. Like just an example, she was in the Air Force, but she was on a carrier one time and they were getting bombed and there was nothing to shield herself. So she was hiding underneath stairs and she was frozen. And that fight, flight, or freeze, people that have never felt fear don't understand that you don't have a choice. Right. It's whatever your body does. It's not up to you. You know, like I saw some tough dudes in the military, And there were some females that used to, I think I told this story. There was a female that nobody wanted to be on guard with her because she was little and she had a machine gun. She had a squad automatic weapon. Every time she fired it, she would close her eyes because she would get scared. But the first time they got attacked, this big, tall guy that was in the military for a long time, he was in the fetal position and she was the one that was firing back.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a say. So just being able to explain the fight, flight, or freeze, to explain what fear feels like, to explain, like just all these different things that bother like us warriors, like all that stuff is important. So.
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you from a woman's perspective, I don't feel, and my personal opinion, I don't feel that you need to explain that's your story to your son. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's given, I don't even know how many books have been sold or shared, but so many people the opportunity to be able to explain this a little bit more to, and it doesn't just apply to the smaller child. This is something where you wrote this book and you even look at Willis, because the girls at that point were 14 and 16 and
maybe 13 and 15,
but not maybe 3 or 4. And giving somebody the opportunity to put their feelings into words, I think is the most beautiful thing that you could have ever done. And I look forward to what you come up with next and seeing what that is, because it's just.
I was highlighted in the VFW magazine recently, and after the magazine, and I'm sure that magazine's not read by as many people as that should read it, right? It's normally older veterans and stuff like that care enough, I feel like, to read the VFW and the American Legion and stuff like that magazines. But anyway, the uptick of emails that I got went really high, and the amount of books that were sold and read and stuff that just made my heart very happy. But one of the best ones that I got from an older veteran, he said, "Do you mind me reading this?"
Go ahead.
No. It said, "I bought a copy for my daughter who suffers from PTSD from the war. I think what she wrote says it the best." And then in quotations, "My book came in the mail today. Thank you so much, Dad. Currently sitting on the side porch steps, bawling my eyes out like a little bitch, reading a children's book with a teddy bear soldier. Again, thank you so much. I have no clue how I'm going to get through reading this to Sandy, but I think it's definitely something that I will be reading to her at some point. Hopefully it will do better at explaining why I get the way I get sometimes and help her to understand that I will always love her and that it's not her fault. There is also an email to write to ask permissions and things. I think I'm going to reach out to the author and thank him for putting this book together and saying the words that so many of us can't find."
I love that. That's
the kind of stuff I get back, and I love to hear back that this happened, and it's really nice to hear that people say that a dumb soldier was able to explain PTSD and it make it palatable for little kids. That just made me really happy. So fortunately, I was talking to Wounded Warrior Project. I guess they're gonna tell my story. They're gonna work with me and tell my story nationwide. So I'm really hoping. I'm horrible at promotion. I feel like you promote me more than I promote myself. And so I'm really bad with promotion. I don't want to be viewed as self-serving. And, I don't want to be that person. I'm not doing this for money.
So you'll never be viewed that way because you're not that person.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
So here's the thing, a lot of people say it's selfish. Okay. So for me, doing this podcast and doing everything that I do, I'm being selfish. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm being selfish because this podcast helps me just as much as it helps other veterans out there. So with you writing a book, this helped you. You were being selfish when you wrote this book because this book helped you talk to your kid. Yeah. But in turn, you're helping so many veterans out there with this book.
But that's not selfish. That's self-care.
But people view it as selfish. People do view it as selfish, but it's selfish in a good manner. It's not the selfish, I want to, sell 1 million copies and get rich. No, this is, I want to sell 1 million copies and help 1 million veterans.
Right.
That's
right. I think we're in the same boat. It's just different, right? But I feel like we're in the same boat where I'm tired of seeing my brothers and sisters hurt themselves and hurt other people. That's it. Yeah. That's why I do what I do. That's why I talk for a living about my own pain. Like before I got help, I did the same thing, but I wasn't getting help. So I would share my story and people would go and get help. But it was just adding because I didn't get help myself. And it's like I just kept reopening the same wound over and over again for other people to help them. Yeah. But now that I've gotten help and I continue to get help, I'm okay with sharing my story. And I actually haven't told anybody that I went into inpatient. So that was new for here. I wasn't sure if I was going to or not because it's but it is what it is. I tell my story hoping that others will see, I think I said this before in the last time, but we go to high schools sometimes, like Road Home program. Some vets will go to high schools and kind of share their story, especially around Veterans Day, Memorial Day, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And the uptick of high schoolers that reach out for help afterward is huge. And I think it's because any of us sometimes need to see someone they view as strong being vulnerable in order to get the help themselves. Absolutely. So, for one of my family members served in Vietnam, and when I got back, from Iraq, he said he wanted to see me. He lives in Minnesota, so I drove 8 hours to go see him, and he sat me down and he told me stuff that he never told anybody else. And he said, if I can give you any advice, it'd be to talk to somebody and get some help. But he didn't just say it. He was a recluse when he came back. He lived on his own, grew his own stuff. I mean, he lives on a farm. His wife, had a normal job, and he kind of just kept himself. And, people reached out to me and was like, thank you for bringing our brother back, because he didn't just tell me, he led by example. Yeah. And as soon as he told me, I think the next day he reached out to the VA and got help himself. So I needed that. I needed to see somebody get help in order for me to reach out for help.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a guy watching right now. I think
call him out.
I think he's still on. And when you talk about your story, it makes it easier. And when I met this person, I'm just going to say Doc, if Doc is on there still, I see that he popped on. When I first met Doc, he was home ridden. He would come out to, some events and stuff like that, but he was, home ridden. He couldn't leave his house. Now he's a Desert Storm veteran. Then after he got out, he became an EMT, and he got to the point where he couldn't leave his house. Then he started coming through equine therapy, and he started talking and here, telling his story. And now, he's out volunteering in the community and doing TV interviews and stuff like that. And he's helping facilitate the equine therapy that helped him. Mm-hmm. And the more we tell our story, the easier it gets for us. It'll never go away. I know that my trauma will always be there. It'll always be lurking in the corner of my head, and I have to learn to deal with the triggers and stuff like that make me be hyper vigilant and anxious and quick to anger. I know that I have to. Luckily, I'm going through therapy now, and hopefully, I'll get that under control, because there's times that I come home from work and I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to do anything. And my wife and kids are like, well, no, Dad, we want to go do this or we want to do that. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to sit here. And, that causes a struggle between the wife and I and the daughters and I. And I got to get better. My wife has said it's got worse over the last 20 years. And it took me a really long time to go to the VA. And the reason being is because I always said that there was other veterans out there that was worse off than me.
That's a normal response for sure.
So I didn't go to the VA for a really long time. And I started doing the podcast, and I was like, no, I can't tell people that they need to go to the VA and get help if I'm not doing it myself. Yes, so, I'm going through the process and doing everything that I need to do. And I'm hoping the therapy is going to help without medication, because I don't want to be on medication for the rest of my life. If that doesn't work, then, I'm going to try immersion therapy or exposure therapy or try different alternatives than medicine. It seems like every time I go to the VA, they're like, oh, whether I'm going for a regular doctor checkup, they're like, well, we want to put you on this medicine. I'm like, no, I don't want to do medicines.
Right.
The last time I went, they said that I was diabetic. So my A1C was, the first time I went was 7.3. And she said, all right, you're diabetic. I was like, oh, okay. So let me change my diet. And then when I went back the last time, it went down to 7.1. And then I got another appointment coming up soon. So hopefully it's lower than that. But I don't want to be on medicine for the rest of my life. And it seems like a lot of times the VA, here, this is Doc. This is Doc right here. It is a work in progress. This is the guy that I was talking about. Everyone's PTS is different. Yes, our journey is different. We do everything different. And it's our journey to tell. And I've had so much help from David Willis Jr. and Candace, Corey, and many others. And, and I call Doc all the time. I'm like, hey, you want to go to a football game with me? Because I know if he goes, it might help him. It might not. But I'm still going to ask him because I don't want to be that person that don't ask Doc to do something, because then I would be not beneficial for Doc. I call all kinds of people. Like if Doc says no, then I call the next person. I say, hey, do you want to go? And then if they go, they go. And then we have a fun time and we talk. And of course, the seats that I have are higher level seats, so there's not a lot of people around. That's why I like them. That's why I'm able to go. It's in seats. So yeah, man. No, I love it.
Have you ever thought about going to our program? Maybe we could talk offline, but our program is pretty amazing, man.
I have thought about it. Matter of fact, my other co-host, we talked about it several times. Yeah, so it's definitely a possibility. Not saying that it won't help me, not saying it would help me, but it's definitely a possibility. And I'd like to come up here just to experience it and see if it could help me. Sure. So yeah, we can definitely talk offline and see what we can do and go from there.
He's still stubborn. Don't forget he was a Marine. He is a Marine. I'm sorry. Let me correct that.
She's
I
fired.
work with a Gold Star mother.
You guys
of a
have
Marine
crowns for snacks?
Yeah, we have a Gold Star mother Marine, and then two of my outreach coordinators are Marines, and then there's myself and one other Army, and then our boss is the Army. So we got it. We have a lot of crayons.
You need to make a coloring book for Marines.
So in typical home, you're fired.
Woo! I did it. I have to do it every episode. I get fired.
No, I love Doc. He's my brother from another mother. I look up to Doc, and I'm excited to keep along with him in his journey, because I know he still struggles. It's definitely a struggle every day for all of us. All of us veterans, we struggle with different things and different triggers and stuff like that. So. But no, man, I'm excited, Mathius. We've texted several times since the first time that you came on, and I'm always interested in seeing, where your journey's taking you. I think I need to reach out a little bit more, because if you did go to inpatient, of course, you got your own life and stuff like that you're dealing with, but I'm always a phone call away. If you ever need to talk, my phone's always open. I don't care what time it is. My phone's always open, and your book always sits back here on the shelf.
It does.
With the rest of the books, I'm actually getting ready to build a different bookshelf that'll be kind of behind me a little bit more. Cool. But it will definitely, keep up, and I can't wait to see your next book and read it and show it to my kids and let them read it and see, a different point of view. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So
we got you. We're going to promote the hell out of it.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll get you connected with Triple Threat vets. Once we get offline, I'll send do you want me to send it to your work email or?
Sure.
Okay. So what I'll do, I'll send an email out with connecting you and Ty and Matt. And then we'll go from there. Hopefully we can get you on their show.
I know you'll have to do a text with me and Mathius.
Yeah, I will. But Mathius, thank you for coming on here and telling us.
Thank you very much.
Hey, you're welcome, my friend. Telling us about the Road Home program at Rush. if you're a veteran out there and you're dealing with PTS or whatever your ailment may be, reach out, go to their website.
Or
it's
a family member.
It's right here at the bottom, roadhopeprogram.org. Go on there and you can go, I think at the very top.
Yeah, as soon as you go there, it takes you to a landing page with get care page, and then you just fill it out.
Getting ready to share the screen here.
Yeah, it's 312-942-8387, 312-942-VETS.
There you
Look,
go.
they're gonna be so proud of you. You remembered that one.
I know.
So yeah, this is their website right here. You can learn more or get care. And then right here is the phone number that he was talking about right here, 312-942-8387. Or you can reach out to Mathius at Mathius_L_Carter at rush.edu. And if you want to read Mathias's book, you can go on Amazon and type in Instead of Sheep. This is the first one that pops up.
I'm pretty nice too. If people, everyone that emails me, if they ask for it, I'll sign a copy and send you one as well. I mean, I just want people to get help. Yeah.
But you know what? Hey, viewers, listeners, if he does that for you, go find a way to donate to the Rush program, to the Road Home,
and then
find a way to help.
And then once you get the book and you read it, go back and leave a review.
Yes.
You can send him an email as well, but leave a book
reviews are necessary just because people look at them, because I wasn't like you already know, I wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel. I was just trying to find something to open up communication with my kid. And, there wasn't anything out there. So that's why we had to make it.
Yeah, definitely. So
now there is, and it's
definitely. So Mathias right here he's outreach coordinator at the Road Home. He Instead of Sheep, Army veteran, family history of military service.
You were at Fort Knox.
Oh yeah, you were in Fort Knox.
Yeah, that's what I did basically. Yeah, Fort Benning was full, so they sent me to Knox, and then I had to do basic with a whole bunch of crazy tankers.
Oh wow! They don't have tanks there anymore.
Actually, they're bringing them back.
Oh well, they're not. So
yeah, so they went.
They
did away with the tank school. They did away with that and made it like a command post. So they were just doing command, I don't know. I forget what they changed it to. But they are bringing. I think they are bringing the tanks.
The last time
I was the last class before they had the before females were able to come into basic at Fort Knox.
Oh man, okay.
Nice. Yeah, the last time I was there, I got kicked out of a Black Hawk because I wanted to push buttons, and he was like, "No, out." I was like, "But I just want to push the buttons."
So Doc says, "I wish I had this book when my kids were young. I hated putting them through PTS on our own."
Yeah,
Doc, I would agree with you.
It's great for grandbabies too.
It is great for grandbabies.
Actually, yeah, a lot of people have been reaching out and kind of explaining that to their grandkids as well. And some of the older veterans that I'm friends with, and through the VFW and things like that, they use it and they still send it out to their kids because even if it's late, I mean, kids could benefit from kind of seeing how you feel. And, what's funny is a lot of vets seem to, I feel like the ones that I've met, date people from other countries, and people from other countries tend to look at mental health a little differently. So this has actually helped because pictures, say 1,000 words, kind of on what is going through your head in order like, wow, like the best review I had was the first one. And I loved it because it was honest. And it was a guy that I went to high school with that knows myself and the illustrator. And he was like, basically kind of explaining that he didn't serve in the military and didn't really know too much about what we went through. He kind of just thought we were fucked up, and it's like a normal response that they just people look at us and just think that we're just messed up. And, and he was like, this really shines some light on what you guys go through. Yeah. And so that was really nice to hear that. And he didn't have kids and he just did it because he wanted to better understand his friends.
Yeah. So I don't think it just applies to children. Like, I mean, it's for adults. It's for anybody that doesn't have, especially civilians.
Yeah.
Like this book isn't just for kids. It's not.
I would agree.
Not at all.
So the Veteran Hundo Club, they are primarily right now focused on American veterans. But like I said, his business partner is from France originally. And they're slowly expanding to other countries as well to bring into the, service members from other countries. So I'd love for you and Chris to get connected.
Mhm.
Chris, Mathias's email's up there, so make sure you connect with Mathias and reach out and talk to Mathias and see how you two can collab together. Because, like I said, what Veteran Hundo Club is doing, I haven't seen it. Like, I've been involved with veteran service organizations for almost 20 years now, and what they are doing is it. And he's got a clip of me saying this from I forget what we were doing, but what they're doing is simply amazing, because I've never seen the type of program that the Veteran Hundo Club has got set up, with bringing in lawyers, bringing in, they're bringing in anybody who's a veteran that has a specialty in whatever, because what they want to be able to do is, if a veteran wants to write a book, they want to have somebody that can help them get that published. If somebody's having legal issues, they want to be able to help that veteran with their legal issues. If they're so already done. Oh, he's already sent you an email. But yeah, what they're doing is simply amazing, and I love, and they're relatively new. The organization is new. It's an ideal that they've came up with. They've been developing the program for the last few years, but they just launched, and what they're doing is simply amazing. It's just, and Chris's story is a story that you need to hear as well. He's got a story, and I can't wait to have him and Mr. Fitch on our show to tell their story and stuff like that. So
so if you can put together two pretty amazing organizations,
yeah,
we're all here for the same purpose. We're all trying to
help
do the
each
same
other.
thing. Like, put those things together. They talk about it. Like, one star in the sky is pretty bright, but more?
Yeah.
How much brighter can you make it?
Yeah,
Like, put them together.
Yeah, when you collab with other organizations, that's where magic happens. Because there's too many organizations out there that get upset that, oh, you stole my veteran. Oh, you're taking money out of my pocket. It's not about the money. It's about helping that veteran. And if Mathias goes to Wounded Warrior and it's not a good fit for him, then he goes over to Warrior's Next Adventure because he's an adrenaline junkie and it helps him better, then so be it. Let him go.
Yeah,
I mean,
send him, find the things that he needs, and like if you're doing this right and for the right reasons, you network.
That's where Veteran Hundo comes together. Is they got all these different. They're building a network of all these different organizations, and they're putting it underneath of like kind of one umbrella. It's dude, yeah, you definitely need to get in contact with that guy.
And he emailed you already.
Nice, I'll check it.
Let's do it.
But Mathias, I want to say thank you. Tell your wife thank you. Tell your children thank you for allowing you to come on here and talk about the Road Home program and talk about your book and your next book. I can't wait for it to come out. And it'll be displayed here once we receive it in the mail, once it's ready to go. And then we'll have, once it's released, you know what, we're going to have you on here, and I want to be the first one when you release it. I want to be the first one to have you on the show to promote you. So
cool.
we're gonna make that happen, my friend.
Very cool.
So
all right, guys, thank you so much. Have a good rest of your weekend.
Have a great night.
Take care of yourself. Keep your head up.
Hey, and my phone's always open, brother. If you need to talk, call me.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, buddy. Have a good one.
Bye.
Dude, how cool was that?
I love that man.
Dude, I the first time I met Mathias, he was just, there's just something about him. I can't explain it. There's just something about him. His charisma, his passion to want to help veterans. For one, he's an outreach coordinator for an amazing program. And when he told us about the program, I was like, man, I've never heard of this program. And I was like, dude, and I started doing my research on the Road Home program. Like I always do, I do my deep dive into programs and stuff like that, because I'm going to make sure it's a program that's got good reviews, and people are actually getting help.
Well, and they're in it for the right reason.
And they're in it for the right reason. And like Mathias just said, he didn't tell anybody that he went into the intake through the Road Home program. Here he is, the outreach coordinator for the Road Home program, and he's utilizing the own program to help him because he was dealing with the stuff that he was dealing with. That says something about an organization.
Well, I mean, and he was getting help from there and then started working there. So when you go through something like that and you have your own issues and you believe in something so much that
And
you
that
want
you
to be a
start-
part of it.
Yeah.
Like Mathius is one beautiful soul.
Yeah.
With a golden heart that just that book alone, like touching how many people it's
awesome. So if you go to Amazon, type in, instead of sheep, it's $14.99. Buy a copy,
or two, send it to somebody.
Yeah, or send it to somebody. Yeah, definitely. Buy a couple copies. Once you get it and you read it, go back to Amazon and leave a book review about the book, because I can guarantee you, no matter your age, no matter the age of your children, they will understand what you're dealing with as a veteran.
Yeah.
Like me, I don't mind fireworks because my birthday's July 7th. I've grown up with fireworks my whole life. My thing is July 4th is July 4th. Don't start June 3rd and start letting off fireworks every week, because there's people that do that.
Yeah,
and
that's when there's a problem.
That's when there is a problem. And that's like we have thunder over Louisville here in Kentucky. And when I was younger, I used to go to Thunder. But I can't go now.
Yeah.
For one, not just the fireworks.
Oh, there's too many people.
Free with Kindle Unlimited. So if you have Kindle, Amazon, if you got Amazon Prime and Kindle Unlimited, you can actually get the book for free, according to Christopher Raymond there.
Or you can still go to Amazon and buy it and support.
Yeah, and support. Yeah, and
but
support.
No, that's great if you have the Kindle Unlimited.
But now I can watch Thunder over Louisville on TV.
Yeah.
And one of the main reasons is not just the fireworks, but the crowd, and then the locale too.
Oh, and you feel it when you're down there and standing on that waterfront. You feel those fireworks going off.
Well, and then we live in Louisville, which is one of the deadliest cities in the country. My hypervigilance is through the roof, and my anxiety goes through the roof.
Society isn't getting much better.
Yeah, and then Doc says right here on July 4th.
Right.
Yeah. That way they're coming. Yeah, because people are going to let off on July 4th. And for me, I'll go to a 4th of July party, and I have to be setting the fireworks off. I can't be sitting.
Were you doing that this year? Because we were out there.
Yeah, I was there.
You were setting them off?
At the lake, at the pond?
No.
Here.
In Shelbyville.
I didn't go to Shelbyville.
You weren't there.
No.
You're right.
Yeah, I didn't go.
Oh, I was out there with your wife and kids.
Yeah, I didn't go. But like when we go out to the Easons for 4th of July for our group, our friends group, I'm usually the one helping set off the fireworks, because then I know that they're coming.
You're in control.
I'm in control of the situation. Yeah. So, but I'm like Doc. July 4th is good enough. Just that's the only day that you need to let off fireworks. Yeah, everybody wants to test them and stuff like that, but you can watch videos of the fireworks you buy. So if you want to see what it looks like,
you can watch a video.
You can watch a video. You don't have to set the fuckers off a month ahead of time.
No, it's unnecessary.
It definitely is unnecessary.
Especially on work nights, and they're doing it at 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Hey, Doc.
It's completely unnecessary.
I want to tell you that I love you, brother. And my phone's open if you ever want to call me and talk. It's open for you. That goes for anybody out there. You are enough. You need to know that you are enough. You need to wake up tomorrow. You need to be here tomorrow because somebody's expecting you to show up. That's my good friend Scott Blake. He says that all the time.
Yep.
You are enough. You need to be here tomorrow because somebody's expecting you to show up. Yep. If you are thinking about committing suicide, you can reach out to, where'd it go? Here, this one. 988*1 if you are in crisis. Push 1 if you're a veteran, or if you're a family member of a veteran. Definitely, reach out to 988. They will definitely help you out.
Also, check out the Road Home program.
And then check out the Road Home program for sure. One of our things here, you just got to get out there. We got that from Project Zero, Kyle Schutik out there in Texas. You just got to get out there. And I know it's hard for some of us veterans to get out there, but I will tell you, the more you get out, the easier the struggles that you have, the easier it gets. So definitely you got to get out there. Like I say, always, you got to ask that next hard question, man. That's like with Doc. I can say, "Hey, Doc, how you doing?" He's going to say, "I'm fine." And then I'm going to be like, "No, Doc, how you really doing?" And then Doc's going to open up to me.
Sometimes you might have to ask again.
Yeah, sometimes you might have to ask again. But you have to ask the next hard question, because 22 a day, way too many. One a day is too many.
Yeah. We love you, Doc.
And we do love Doc. And then one veteran at a time, man. Yeah, Doc, it's hard to accept that we have a problem. I would agree with you, man. I agree with you 100%, Doc. It's hard to accept. And for me, I'll be flat honest with you. For the longest time, I'm like, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. But it's a struggle, man. I will tell you, it is a struggle. It has been a struggle. Always will be a struggle.
You have to go one day at a time.
One day at a time. One veteran at a time. One human at a time.
Yeah.
Definitely one human at a time, because
everybody matters.
Everybody matters. And you are enough. I mean, I wish I had the shirt down here. But
except for me. Like, he fires me every time.
Well, that's because you're weird.
I matter, damn it.
You do matter. Don't trust me, you matter, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be sitting right here where you're at.
I got fired again.
You always get fired. You'll be hired again tomorrow.
It's a goal. I think it's like, if I don't get fired during an episode, there's a problem. Like, I'll be like, Willis doesn't love me anymore.
Oh no, we love you. Some days you're just a little extra
special.
So some days
it's okay. That's the goal.
But we still love you.
It's never boring, is it?
No. Well, thank you, Doc. We try. Candace here, she runs Mission 6, which used to be Up to Snuff. So she did a little bit of rebranding. But you've been dealing with veterans. Your daddy is your veteran. You say that all the time.
Yeah.
How is your dad, by the way?
My dad's wonderful. I was at his house yesterday.
Well, that's awesome.
And tomorrow for the eclipse, we are going on the bike, getting some wind therapy. We're going to ride up towards Columbus and hit like Brown County area and just find a little place over in the forestry and watch the eclipse.
You got a backpack
together.
for Chico?
No.
You need a backpack.
He needs a side cart for it. He has a 150-pound Rottweiler, Harley, and
cool.
we're talking about getting a side cart for him.
I seen a dog the other day. It was right in the car, and he had his head sticking out, and he had motorcycle riding goggles on the dog's head. I was like, oh man, that's cool.
Yeah, no, Chico's gonna stay home with Miss Sadie. But yeah, we're gonna go do that. I have something in the morning for a work thing, and then we're gonna go do that, and then get back, and then I'll be sitting here with you. Yeah,
and then so we got a couple things coming up. July 25th through the 30th, we have the Vietnam Traveling Wall and Cost of Freedom tribute coming to Shepherdsville, Kentucky.
Oh, look, my daddy just popped on. How about that? That's like timing. We were just talking about you, Daddy.
His ears must have been
They
itching.
must have been burning.
But so, yeah, we got the Vietnam Traveling Wall and Cost of Freedom tribute coming to Shepherdsville, Kentucky, July 25th through the 30th.
The escorts on the 24th.
And the escorts on the 24th. We've had a little bit of snafu on how the transport or the escort's going to go. I haven't.
We'll talk about that later.
Ain't heard any details lately. And then November 9th, we have our third annual Veteran and First Responder Suicide Awareness Concert.
I'm pumped about it.
All the money from that will go to Camp Hero, Kentucky. We don't take a dime, so all the money that we raise will go to Camp Hero, Kentucky.
Shaking the microphone.
As long as I ain't shaking the camera, we'll be all right. So all the money from that we raise from the concert will go to Camp Hero, Kentucky. If you're a veteran business owner, a veteran supporter, we do have packages that you can support. All the money that we raise, like I said, will be going to Camp Hero, Kentucky. We have 12 acts maybe
So far,
music acts. I think it's only going to be 12.
Working on maybe an extra special thing, but we'll wait.
Yeah, we're working on something special. So tickets, we're gonna $10 admission for that. But that, like I said, that $10 will go straight to Camp Hero. So anybody who comes to that concert, we're going to have food trucks and vendors out there. We're going to have VSOs out there as well. $10 to get in to see the music, starting at 11 a.m., going to 11 p.m.
It's gonna be a great day.
Going to be a great day. We got some great veteran music acts. We got the Hard Road. They're all veteran band out of Barsham, Kentucky. They're coming. We have a bunch of other veteran artists as well that are going to be there. We're working on a special guest coming all the way from Houston, Texas area. I can't. I'm excited about that. It's going to be hopefully. And then on November the 8th, what I'm trying to do is put together another concert with Hard Road and 2 other acts on November 8th. It's going to be a concert. It's going to be a concert at Bullitt County Fairgrounds. I just got to get everything lined out detail wise and stuff like that. But anyway,
goals.
We got all kinds of stuff going on, man. I tell you what, it's like I said, if you're a veteran business or if you're a veteran supporter, reach out to us at HomeFrontSitrep@gmail.com. We would love to talk with you. I'm working on some sponsorships from Jim Beam, Texas Roadhouse, Carl Truman Law Office, and others.
Regardless, it's gonna be a good time. It only costs you $10. We're bringing awareness to first responder and veteran suicide. Like get out there and support.
We're gonna have a couple guest speakers. I'm excited about that. We got a MC, DJ Chrissy. She's going to come out. She's going to be our MC for the day. Nice. She is a veteran. She's runs her business. I forget the name of her business. DJ Chrissy is what she goes by. I think it's her name. Yes. But she's amazing. She does good things, and she's going to be our MC for the day. We got solo acts beginning at 11 a.m. They'll be going about 30 to 45 minutes, and then we go into our bands later in the afternoon, and then our special guest. I can't wait, and I'm hoping everything works out. Will be coming in as well. So, but like I said, you got to be out there. You got to get out there.
Great things coming up this year. Great things, which is crazy because we're already in April.
Yeah, there's other veteran events.
And my birthday is this month.
Oh, and it's Military Child Month too.
I'm a military child.
I know your daddy's out here right now. But you can move near us, bro. Come on,
Chris.
Come on.
Kentucky's a good place.
Kentucky is amazing. We got all 4 seasons.
In one day.
Yeah,
it happens like that sometimes.
What do they say about Kentucky weather? You wait 5 minutes and it'll change on you. So
just keep everything in your car just in case.
Yeah, you never know. You might leave the house wearing a parka, and then by the end of the day you're wearing a tank top and shorts. So
that's why I usually wear flip flops even in the snow. Like, the sun's gonna come out. It'll melt. It'll be all right.
But no, we got some great guests lined up too. Yes. Tomorrow we got conversations with a vet. Carol Lee is the mom of 2 Marines. She started a podcast called Conversations with a Vet.
She's a sweetheart. Can't wait
She's a sweetheart. We can't wait to talk to her. And then on the 14th, so next Sunday.
He's tearing all the books down today.
So next Sunday, we have Michelle Black, who is a Gold Star widow. She wrote the book called Sacrifice. Her story is very sad. Her husband was killed by the Taliban, and it was broadcasted live. Her kids were very young and watched the video of their dad dying on video. Terrible. The resiliency of this lady to write a book, and she's actually going on to DC and talking, trying to get some things changed in DC for us veterans.
And that's next Sunday, the 14th.
Next Sunday, the 14th. The 15th, we got Operation Healing. Hey, there's Miss Carol Lee. We were just talking about you.
We'll have you on all night tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll have you on tomorrow. And then we got on the 15th, I believe. The 15th is Operation Healing Heroes. We're going to have Mark Richardson come on, talk about Operation Healing Heroes. Then the 21st, we got Ed McLean with Warriors to Racers. Ed McLean is an Air Force veteran, and they do endurance racing. It's an all veteran team, all the way from the tire changer all the way up to the pit crew captain. All veteran team, and we might have a special guest on that one. She all female veteran race team as well might come on. Doc, we love you, man. Talk to you soon. And then on April the 22nd, I have American Legion Post 291 out of Newport Beach, California. Yeah. It's the only American Legion that has a yacht club.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. They got their 100th year anniversary. So they're going to come on and talk about that. Then on the 28th, right now, tentatively, we got Chris Cruz. His company, which is Cruz Custom Flags, make the bourbon barrel American flags.
How good you did that, pointing at that from behind your back.
I know, right? And then to round out the month, we have Realtor Mr. Jeremy Kuntz. He'll be coming on as well. I'm excited about that, to talk about some of the programs that he's got. And that rounds out April for us. So I'm definitely excited. Tomorrow, like I said, we got conversations with a vet who graciously jumped on to say hello. Miss Carol Lee. Oh, God. So I got a cat in my throat or something. I don't know what the heck's going on. But yeah, definitely, like I said, go to Amazon, order Mathias's book, go to roadhomeprogram.org, check out the organization there. Doc, I think it would be, if you're still on here, you should check them out, man. I think it would help you a lot, Doc. So definitely.
Yes, come watch tomorrow night, 7 o'clock.
And then our boys right now, I don't know if they're still live. Triple Threat Vets they have the celebrity veteran softball game that they're at. So I don't know if they're still live or not. Let's see. We'll find out. But yeah, you can definitely go check out Triple Threat Vets podcast. Don't look like they're still alive. Yeah, so you can go check out they're commentating the veteran celebrity softball game on Triple Threat Vets right now. So you can definitely go check them out. So yeah, but other than that, man, like I say always, man, and come to watch. Yes, Carol Lee just said come watch a show tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night at 7.
So tomorrow night, 7 p.m., we will have conversations with the vet, Miss Carol Lee. So definitely come check that out tomorrow. But like I say, always have a great night. I need to turn this off. But anyway, like I say, always have a great night, and stay safe out there. And we got your 6. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.